Hi everyone, Robin here. Thanks for joining me today on Poppy Stamps. My project for you today is a Gatefold card, and it features products from Poppystamps' latest release. It's their spring release, and it's full of lots of goodies, so be sure you check it out. So let's get started with my project. The products I'll be using from Poppystamps are the Luscious Script Wishes. I'm also using the Birthday Blowout stamp set that has lots of great sentiments for birthday cards. Also in the release are 3 large background stamps, and today I'm using the Picnic Plaid stamp set. My Gatefold card begins with a piece of cardstock cut at 5.5 inches by 11 inches. To create the gatefold, I'm scoring both ends of my cardstock at 2 3/4 inches. And then you'll just want to fold them in towards the center of your card, and using your bone folder, make nice crisp creases. For my panels, I'm using the Picnic Plaid background stamp, and this is just one of 3 background stamps Poppystamps has included in their spring release. I think if you take a look, you'll really like them. Here I'm adding my anti-static powder to the whole panel since it is a large stamp, and I'm just using a large soft brush to spread it around. I'll be using Versamark ink since I will be heat embossing, and I'm making sure I cover that background stamp thoroughly, using my sleeve to make sure it goes on fairly even. And then I will be adding Brutus Monroe's Alabaster embossing powder. I really like this embossing powder. It's nice and fine and covers beautifully. After heat setting, I was ready to use my distress inks to color the background. The distress inks I'm using are Wilted Violet, Worn Lipstick, and Twisted Citron. I've always liked that name, Twisted Citron. So as you can see, you can put your colors in anywhere you like. It's completely up to you. Once done, I just took a clean paper towel and went over the surface to pick up any excess ink. At this point, I decided that panel needed a little bit of black gouache splattered on it, and once I was happy, I set it aside to dry. I cut the background die from the word wishes 3 times, and I used Neenah 110-pound paper for this. Worked out quite well. Added some liquid adhesive, stacked them together, and allowed to dry. The word wishes I only cut twice out of some black cardstock. Added my liquid adhesive. Here I'm using Gina K Connect. Stacked them together and allowed to dry along with the tittle. Once dry, I added the same liquid adhesive to the back of my word, and it really helps to hold onto this word with tweezers. It also helps when you are placing it onto the background die. I added my tittle, and my word embellishment was finished. Turned out great. I really like these new large words. Once my background panel was dry, I trimmed it to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches. I then needed to cut it right down the middle, which happens to be at 2 5/8 inches. And I just put a little tick mark on my paper and trimmed it. I now had my panels for my Gatefold card. I used the same liquid adhesive on the back of my panels to add to my card base. Again, gives you just a little bit of wiggle room so you get them placed as close as possible. For the second panel, I added the glue again and added to the other side of the gatefold, aligning it with the other panel. Added something heavy and allowed to dry. For my inside sentiment, I cut a card that was 5 inches by 5 inches. I added my sentiment from the birthday blowout set, added to my Misty stamp positioner, and using some VersaFine black ink, I stamped my sentiment. For the outside happy birthday tag, I cut a thin strip of black cardstock, used my anti-static powder and some Versamark ink, stamped happy birthday, added some of the alabaster white embossing powder, and heat set. To add my inside sentiment, I'm again using the liquid glue and just applying to the inside of my card base, leaving about a 1/4 inch all around. Again, I like using my mini brayer to make sure the ink is evenly distributed. To add wishes to my gatefold, I'm going to put adhesive behind the H, E, and the S and add to the right side of my card. Here's where I wish I'd gone to the left side, but doesn't matter. Anyway, I added it to the right side, added something heavy, and allowed to dry. For the left side, to hold it closed, I'm using these Velcro thin clear fasteners. They're super cute. They're only 3/8 of an inch in diameter, and they're almost clear. So I added the hook on the back of the W, and then the little loop I added to the hook, closed it, and just pressed it onto the front of my card so it lined up perfectly, and it works out quite well. That little closure is not invisible, but it is somewhat clear, so you don't really notice it that much. I trimmed the one end of my happy birthday tag at a diagonal and squared off the other corner. I'm adding some more liquid adhesive to the back of my tag and added it to my card front. Once my tag was dry, I decided to add some little semi-transparent moonstones to the front of my card. I like that little bit of sparkle they give, especially for a birthday card. I always think they look so pretty. So here is how my finished card works. I can lift off the wishes and it closes up quite nicely with no problems at all. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial today on making this gatefold card with a little different closure technique. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you come back soon to see more inspiration and ideas from the Poppystamps design team. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye-bye.